Fortunately, we live in a world filled with far too much evil and violence. This was particularly true on October 7th, when Hamas committed acts of cruelty and barbarism reminiscent of the dark days of the Holocaust, including brutal rapes and mutilations, the murdering of parents in front of their children, and the burning of entire families alive in their homes. These horrors were compounded by the fact that they were not only committed, but filmed and shared with others with pride. Shockingly, instead of unanimous condemnation, many around the world voiced support for these atrocities. At Cornell University, a professor described these attacks as exhilarating, while at Harvard, dozens of student organizations blamed Israel for the violence. Slogans such as, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," and "Globalize the Intifada" have become rallying cries for those who see this violence as justified. But perhaps the most troubling thing is the rising fear among Jews worldwide. From October 2023 to October 2024, threats against Jews in the U.S. have tripled, as many of us are afraid to display our Jewish identity in public. In times like these, when evil is rampant and it feels like the world has lost its moral compass, I believe it is important that we focus instead on the concept of goodness. In doing so, I think there's no better place to start than the very first parasha in the Torah, Parashat Bereishit, that we read this week. The first chapter of Bereshit, Genesis, describes God as a master architect, creating the world with order, purpose, and structure over a period of 6 days. And after each day, God looked at his work and declared it good. And at the end of the 6th day, he looked at the creation as a whole and said it's very good. This implies that goodness is embedded into the world itself. Creation in its essence is good. But Genesis 2 tells a very different story. In this account, God does not declare that everything is good. In fact, God openly acknowledges that some things are not good. After creating the human, God declares it is not good for the human to be alone. And he then proceeds to create a companion for him. Here, goodness is not something built into the fabric of the created world, but something we help bring into existence through our actions and our care for others. It appears that there are two paths to goodness and the betterment of the world. One is to discover the goodness of God and of his created world and to do our best to preserve it. And the other is to acknowledge that some things and situations are not good. And when we encounter them, it is our responsibility to step in, to help, and to make things better. May we soon see a time when the forces of evil give way to the forces of good. As the prophet Isaiah says, "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger, announcing peace, goodness, and announcing salvation." Shabbat Shalom.